Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I wanted to cover this. eGrag Crypto is talking Valhalla again, the ultimate summoning, the most bullish cross just occurred as predicted. The 21 EMA finally crossed the 55 MA on the 2-week time frame, a topic I've been discussing for a while. Eruption at any time. I like the sound of that. Now we maintain our composure as the eruption looms ahead, and we can and can happen anytime. Wishing my fellow XRP army a pleasant journey. Stay steady. Valhalla awaits. What does he say down here? 30 cent and went to 93. And it will go much higher. Do not compare between coins, because we know that XRP has a legal regulatory clarity. Yes, it does. We'll talk about that more in a second. So check this out. These guys are setting the stage for, like I mentioned in my last video, I studied in school that these guys, literally these politicians, will set the stage. They'll get all the people they control in government to do all the little tweaks that can give you the appearance of a healthy economy in their election year. This is how they operate.
What I see on the sell side is suddenly people are looking at 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Dan Ives at Wedbush, Joel Fishbein with the Microsoft call at Truist yesterday. All of a sudden, it seems post-COVID. It seems pre-pandemic. Was that the celebration we saw yesterday? This is where we've moved on from the horror of the pandemic?
You know, I think there's part of it. When I was looking at it, I thought it was pretty clear we could get down to 420 on the 10-year just through deflationary aspects. And yesterday really took me by surprise of how comfortable Powell was with cutting rates. So when I was at 420, I was getting nervous about risk assets, because I thought the only way to get to 4%, given what the Fed was saying, is for economic conditions to turn much worse. They didn't turn much worse, and yet we're at 4% because of the Fed. So I think we have some room for risk to continue to rally, and it's been a great run. Like, we've been a big fan of the laggards, and Russell 2000 was up 3.5%, and I got to admit, I rarely look at the Russell 2000 futures, but they're up 1%. So again, you're outperforming, and all of a sudden, since November 9th, the Russell's up 6.5% more than the NASDAQ 100.
Right.
So,
all right, and then you've got this. Retail sales unexpectedly surge in November. Well, I mean, it is Christmas time, right? I would think that's pretty typical of what happens. Now, just in, the Bitwise Spot Bitcoin ETF has been listed on the DTCC under ticker BITB. Seems like there was one of these not too long ago, and they deleted it off the website. I think they did one of the DTCC deleted it right quick. Now, it can never be a bad time to remind you of how these government/Wall Street people work together. Watch this. This is Jamie Dimon in front of Elizabeth Warren this past week, and then I added on at the end Tika Toure on Glenn Beck 2 or 3 years ago.
I've always been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have built up over many years. Know your customers, sanctions, OFAC, they can get bypass all of that. If I was the government, I'd close it down.
Okay. On September 12th, Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin is a fraud. He says he'll fire any one of his traders buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin drops 24%. When Jamie Dimon speaks, people listen. So that weekend, we found out that the largest buyer of a Bitcoin fund that's in Europe that buys physical Bitcoin, right? The largest buyer was Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. And that's not illegal. He says it's a fraud. It says you fire anyone that buys it. Yes.
And at the same time, his company is buying it.
His company is buying it.
It's just, so unethical.
So since we know that Elizabeth Warren gave Gary Gensler the answers to the questions and wanted to make sure that he was comfortable with the questions before he came to Congress, where she's supposed to be oversight over the SEC, not buddies with him, colluding with him. Well, since we know she gave him the questions and answers, then I wonder if she said, Jamie, I got an idea. I'll say this, and then you say, I think you should ban it. And then, we know Elizabeth Warren has become a millionaire off of her trading since she got to Congress, because she doesn't make it with her salary. So I'm wondering if she's making any money on trading Bitcoin and all this. Now, here's her buddy Gary. Yesterday, a video came out of Gary being interviewed, I believe, by this same woman, but it reminded me of something. I remembered a tweet where Stuart Alderati was pointing out that Gary Gensler, from her prior interview back on September 20th, Gary Gensler, she literally asks him about crypto court rulings, and he acts like, well, these are not, he without saying it, he's basically saying that's not relevant because our laws are really good the way that we like them the way they are. But then yesterday when he interviewed, he brings up, well, we've got court rulings. He's referring to the grayscale ruling that would help be pro-Bitcoin ETF. In other words, and I translated it here, we acknowledge pro-Bitcoin court rulings, but not other court rulings. That's what he's really saying here. And that's a fact, Jack. You just listen to it. The first part's from September 20th, and he, of course, would be thinking about that Ripple ruling, and the second one is from yesterday.
And so nothing any court would say would change your mind on that?
I wish something a court could say which would actually bring the compliance sooner, but this was a field that was built as a global field, so a lot of it's outside of the U.S. And we have very robust securities laws in this country. Question about Bitcoin?
We have seen in recent days SEC staff engaging with issuers, of a number of which have filed for spot ETFs. We've seen a number of amendments to those filings. It seems that market participants in crypto have a sense that we are reaching the end stages here. Typically, is this kind of engagement with the SEC not prejudging anyone filing, but the level of engagement we are seeing signifying of things getting easier, closer to resolving, or things getting more difficult?
Again, we have, I think, somewhere between 8 and 12 filings in front of this agency with regard to exchange-traded products around Bitcoin. And the staff of the various divisions respond when market participants have filings. We also had a court case earlier this fall in this regard, and so we do things according to our authorities and how courts interpret our authorities, and that's what we'll do here as well.
Yeah, Gary. We totally get it. So you can see he's not about respecting court rulings. He's about respecting the court rulings that he likes. Now, here's a warning for you. Ledger, and I have some digital assets on a Ledger, so I'm there with you. We've identified and removed a malicious version. The only thing you can do, in my opinion, right now, is have it spread amongst the things you trust the most. Okay, that's kind of the play. That's the way it's been since I got in crypto. And you know the worst part is they could open retail crypto, and by the way, before I forget, Uphold just opened their vault. So spreading some of it there is probably what would be a good move. That's probably what I'll do, is spread some of it there. So they've identified and removed a malicious version of Ledger Connect Kit. A genuine version is being pushed to replace the malicious file. Now, do not interact with any dApps for the moment. We'll keep you informed as the situation evolves. Your Ledger device and Ledger Live were not compromised. And it said update, malicious version of file was replaced with the genuine version. So it's been solved. The problem has been solved. And then This guy says, warning, the Ledger wallet connection is compromised. Do not, and I don't know, I'm not a techie, so I don't know about all the ins and outs of all of this stuff. I'm just showing you what this guy's saying. Ledger wallet connection compromised. Do not connect to anything or your wallet will be drained. The best thing to do is nothing and connect to no websites. Do not try and log in to your Ledger. Please retweet for awareness. All the dApps that use Ledger connectivity kits had their code replaced with this, and it says minimal drain value. And he said, and then they're showing somebody that lost $610,000. So be careful out there. I'm sitting still. A little ripple goes a long way on the London Underground. Ripple advertise at Bank Station, and yes, it's cold in London. When I was a kid, we made a trip to London. We always, when I was like in college, if we went somewhere, like we always traveled in the winter time, like over Christmas break, because the airfare was so cheap. I can remember at least one or two Christmases where I was buying Christmas presents for people in the one of the airport shops. That's how bad it was in some of those Christmases. But here's the advertisements there. Real progress leaves no one behind. There's Anthony Welfare. Progress is worth more than promises. Like it. Okay, we're going into the DAIXRP.com group, and I just want to, what I'm going to talk about today is why they want to take our privacy away. And it'll be with CBDCs and all this other stuff, but there's a reason they want to do it. There's a specific reason. I'm going to tell a story about something I heard last night on X, and also something I heard Elon Musk say the other day. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not, and that's it, by the way, that's at DAIXRP.com. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. DAIXRP.com is where we're going to talk about it. This is stuff you need to know. Now, okay, here we go. So I was in the other day when they brought Alex Jones back. I was in the thing listening, and one thing that Elon Musk said is very important. There's a move to get rid of privacy on X, and he said it's very important that people are able to be on there anonymously, because many people, he made a comment about how many people were facing repercussions. So the reason you're hearing these guys talk, like Elizabeth Warren, I think she's talked about it, the reason you're hearing them talk about their problem with privacy, folks, it's the same thing that happened in Nazi Germany. The Nazis had people reporting on their neighbors. Well, it's the same thing. It's just 2023. They want to be able to see who you are. Now, look, if it's somebody that's anonymous and it's a bad guy and they're trying to do fraudulent things, I'm all for finding them, and you know, and Elon Musk is too. I mean, they'll report people like that and kick them off or have them prosecuted. I'm all for that. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is people that are on X that are there for the purpose of telling the truth, and they don't want to have people come after, have the government come after them because they're telling a truth that the government doesn't want them to know. Just last night, I was listening. James O'Keefe came on and did an X Live last night in Twitter X Spaces, and he had like IBM whistleblowers, and there was like several of them, and I guess they felt comfortable because they were on X, and it was just their voices. And I imagine they'll find ways where they can disguise their voices in the future. But these were people that were telling truths about what was going on at IBM. And there's no better example of why the privacy is so important than that. Because if we know anything, if we've learned anything, our government and the people, powers that be, these elites, the Klaus Schwab creepy people, there's been a concerted effort to censor and to control the media, to control the narrative, and to not let what they're trying to do get out. That's very obvious.